Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 37. Shout out to Punchline of the Anime Banter podcast with your host, Turtle, Sean, and Mike. Thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
Okay, all right. Now you got to explain the punchline thing.
So, Punchline is a pop punk band here in Pittsburgh. They're one of my favorite bands. And Chris Fafalios, the bass player of Punchline, started in his day-to-day life, he would just see the number 37 everywhere. So
Okay.
their fourth studio album was titled 37 Everywhere. And now it's sort of become the running joke for Punchline fans of when they see the number 37, they tag them in social media. It's like people go to the coffee shop, get an order, and then look down and the receipt will be receipt number 37.
Okay. Fair
Or
enough.
they'll be on bus 37. Like things you don't see, like where you don't expect it, you just start seeing 37 all over the place.
Fair
So
enough. I was confused because I mean, what was it last year? I think, or maybe even earlier this year because I just can't remember things. They had a free concert that you and I both went to, and they were fun.
yes, it was amazing. They're one of my favorite bands to see live. And it's great that they're from Pittsburgh because it means they usually play multiple times a year here in Pittsburgh. But yeah, they always put on a great show. If you're a pop punk fan, I would definitely recommend checking them out. Their older stuff is a little harder. They actually were pretty big back when they first started. They were on the same label as Fallout Boy. They toured with Fallout Boy actually, and before Paramore hit it big, they went on tour with Paramore. Their album called Action is their big album. Not actually, it's in 2024 is their 20th anniversary for that album, but
Oh
that
wow.
got a lot of play and a lot of buzz behind it. And they're doing a retrospective podcast of their careers. So that's really interesting to hear everything now. The number 37 has a special place in the hearts of Punchline fans. People will get 37 tattooed on them as a
Oh
punchline.
geez.
For a punchline tattoo, that'll be a tattoo they will do.
All right. Fair enough. I just I heard them in concert with you, but I'm not that familiar with them, so I just wanted the joke explained for clearly for all the listeners who are unaware. It was definitely for them, not for me.
Hey, I didn't know.
The day that this if you're listening the day that this episode went live, I'll be at their holiday special tonight at the Thunderbird.
Oh, there you
They
go.
they usually do a Christmas. They try and do a yearly Christmas show. Obviously, with COVID, that put it through a wrench into things, but they try and do a yearly Christmas show.
Very
And they
cool.
just put out a Christmas album on Bandcamp.
Oh,
Fun.
just them playing Christmas songs.
Their own stuff.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
So,
Well,
yeah.
shout out to Punchline. You guys are awesome. I'm sure you're not listening to this, but if you are, you guys are awesome.
Sean, how are you doing?
Oh, fun. I mentioned to you guys a little earlier that putting together a case for my I'm entering the gunpla hobby. I went out there on Facebook and I asked some people, "Hey, what do I need to know about gunpla?" And they're like, "My advice about gunpla is don't do gunpla." And I'm like, "Oh crap." I bought a glass case to store my gunpla in. So
Sean, you're like, thank you for your feedback. I'm throwing it in the trash. I'm gonna do it
uh
anyways.
well, one of it's kind of the same with 40K. I have 40K Warhammer 40K miniatures, and I haven't finished. I put them all together, but I haven't painted them all yet. And I'm like, man, this is so much work. Like my wife was very nice and helped me make the bases for them. So I have bases made. I have what do you call it? I have bases made. I have the minis put together, and I have two of them painted. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this hobby is so dang time consuming. And I have a feeling Gunpla is kind of. I'm gonna get mad at that hobby too for being too time consuming.
I've done a little bit of research on it. I don't have the time or money or space to keep said Gundam models, but I believe there's different levels that if you want to sink into the ones where you have to paint, you can, but there are ones that are like pre-painted and colored. You just put together and pose them, and they look cool. So I think it just depends on like how deep do you want to go into this rabbit hole.
Yeah, there's some really insane stuff you can do with it, I know, and I do think that there's kind of like, listen, if you just want to set up some real basic stuff, and kind of like, just cut plastic and put it together. That's one way of doing it. But there are people who like, they buy gray models and paint them, and I'm just not about that. I'm not painting my robots if I haven't painted my miniatures yet.
Yeah, that's fair.
I hate painting. Like, I just hate it.
Yeah, it's not something I want to do. I don't have a real steady hand either. So especially like the small miniatures, you're trying to like paint details on those little things. I can barely see it, and you're trying to get me to paint. Forget it.
That's my issue too. I just don't have this steady hand. So like I love the Pokemon models that I got from Techo that year because like it's all painted already. Like
Oh
I just
yeah,
have to like snap everything together. Some of them will come with stickers. It's like I hate putting stickers on things because I can't put stickers on straight. But
yeah,
it's easier to put a sticker on than paint some small detail.
absolutely. Don't you hate it when they give you like the stickers for like eyes and they're too small and you're trying to put them in the
Oh,
right spot and then they're like moving on your finger before they stick to the model and then you put it on the model and it's wrong and you're like, ah, fuck.
yep. Yeah, they
That's never happened to me.
they give you stickers for all the eyes for the Pokemon models.
It's frustrating. Just why don't you people stick them on before you put them in the box? How about that?
Because that would take too much money.
Trying to get me to do stuff for myself. I'm incompetent. What do you expect me to do here?
So the real question is, did you guys see the Yu Yu Hakusho live action trailer came out?
No.
No.
And Turtle, I know how big of a Yu Yu Hakusho fan you are, so I figured now would be the perfect time to get your live reactions to the trailer.
Oh, well, we can do that. I'm fine with that. We can we put any sort of recordings behind this or are we going to get yelled at?
We'd probably get yelled at, so I probably wouldn't put any audio of the trailer behind just to be on the safe
Okay.
side. Um, but we can count our viewers in, so if they want to watch it while you watch it, we can do that. I
Yeah,
already
I
watched the
can
trailer, so I don't want to give any bias, so I will not be live reacting with you.
okay. I have not seen it yet, so we can totally do that.
I also have not seen it, but I'm not a huge Yu Yu Hakusho fan like Turtle.
Well, we can fix that, Sean.
That's so many episodes.
It's worth it. It's good.
It's shorter than One Piece.
That's true. I've heard some people say they have the best tournament arc in all of anime history.
Yes.
That tournament is real freaking good.
Yes, it's awesome. The Dark Tournaments. Oh,
That's what I've
good.
been hearing about.
It's pretty amazing, for sure. But hey, let's watch this trailer.
All right, Turtle, you let me know when you're ready and you have it up, and I'll count you down.
I'll say while we talked about it, I pulled it up here, so I have it in front of me as we speak.
Okay.
I got my headphones on. I have the volume on so I can hear things. Unfortunately, audience, you cannot see or hear whether you're on Spotify or YouTube. Apparently, we get yelled at and our hands smacked and fingers shaken at us if we use footage or audio. So it's just going to be me. But pull it up. I'll count us in. I'm going to click play in 3, 2, 1, go. It's in Japanese. Good lord, what was that? Oh, wow, okay.
What
What,
are we seeing here, Turtle?
they got some demons running around that I'm not familiar with. Okay, training arc stuff, yes. Okay, we got some kung fu action.
Anything looking bad? Anything looking good?
Um, I definitely have the volume a little too high. I don't know, some of the costumes and the hair look pretty bad in my opinion, but I can get past that. The random demons in the background running around are interesting.
There, there was. Oh, I'll get into my thoughts after we review, but
Um, okay, I'm just trying to place things
that was my issue whenever I first watched it. I'm like, when did that happen? When did that happen?
right. And like, how far are they going into this?
Like, are they doing the tournament? Like, is that going to be the entire season, or where are they stopping at?
It seems like we're building to the tournament, but okay, they just showed some scenes that were in the tournament. I think. Okay, the trailer's over. I'm a little confused as to the timeline because I feel like they were showing stuff from the season one, your character introduction, your build up. Who are these people? And then it looked like they were having fights that were in season two in the Dark Tournament, but then they had like this intro scene into like season three, which seems weird that they would go that far. How many episodes is this going to be? 8?
Probably.
Like, th- I don't see with 8 episodes how they can get past. I can't even see with 8 episodes how they're going to get to the Dark Tournament arc. So I don't know. I don't know. Some of the costumes look bad to me. Some of the artificial hair looks bad to me. But I don't know. I still kind of want to watch it because a trailer doesn't give you everything.
What were your thoughts on the looks of some of the characters?
Um, eh,
Ko-
eh,
like Koenma was weird.
yeah.
Like
Some of the
the fact,
CGI looks bad.
like to me, it was weird. It's like, all right, in the show, it like he like portrays like a young child, a baby,
Yeah,
but like in the live action, it's like, okay, well, he's still like a full grown ass adult. It's like sucking a pacifier. It's like, what?
I mean, there are scenes in season two in the Dark Tournament where he takes on an adult form, and you can't have a toddler act. So, I mean, I can see the adaptation where, like, well, we're just going to have him be like a young adult.
They could have CGI'd it or something.
Have you seen the CGI in that trailer?
That
I don't think they could have done that successfully.
that's a good point.
I mean, Hiei's third eye looked bad. I'm just going to say that. It looked bad. So, I don't know. This might be really awful. I don't want to say that. I want it to be good. I love this property, but this might be awful.
Do you have any hope?
Um,
On first glance, do you have any hope, or are you going in with low expectations?
I'm gonna say I'm going in with low expectations with this trailer.
Especially after how good One Piece was, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I expected One Piece to fall on its face and just be awful, and it way exceeded my expectations. I think it exceeded most of the world's expectations. They got some great actors, they built some beautiful sets, and they had good writing to adapt a story about a silly boy who can stretch because he's made out of rubber and make it work. And in my mind, I thought that One Piece was going to fail. And when they announced they were going to do a Yu Yu Hakusho animation or live action, I figured that that would be much easier because it's much more grounded than what like Dragon Ball Z is. You don't have a bunch of people flying all over the air and like incredibly fast kung fu fights. You have some of that, but it's not as crazy as Dragon Ball Z. So I'm like, this could work. And after watching the trailer, I have pretty low expectations for this now, which bums me out.
Yeah. Uh, I'm not too hopeful. Like, I remember, when I watched that trailer before we started recording, I'm like, oh boy, does this not look good? Like, I liked Yu Yu Hakusho. I didn't finish the entire show, the
We
whole,
can fix that. We can
but like
fix that.
I love that Dark Tournament arc, and like just watching this trailer, I'm like, it just, I mean, it's hard to tell just from a 2 minute, 2.5 minute thing, but it's like it just felt like it was missing some of the charm.
Yeah, for sure. There is a lot of charm to that show. It's really well written. But yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely gonna watch it. I would be more than happy if we want to cover it here on the podcast. But I'm going in with pretty low expectations after watching that.
Sean, did you give it a watch at all or no?
Yeah, I was watching the same time as Turtle, and I know next to nothing about Yu Yu Hakusho. So I know the one guy who's supposed to look like a baby doesn't look like a baby. Like he looks tall. So yeah, I'm sure some people watching are just like face palming right now at my descriptions of these characters.
I love it, Sean.
Uh,
Please continue.
yeah, I know Kuwabara and I know Yusuke, and I think there's a Hiei maybe.
Yes.
Is that the Rose Whip guy?
No, that's Kurama.
Oh, great. Which one's Hiei?
He is the guy with the sword and the third eye, which looked really bad.
Right. Well, see, I don't even know the difference between those guys. So, Karama did not look great. I'm not gonna lie. The wig was rough.
Yes, very bad.
I thought the outfit was whatever, but the wig was rough. I hope that looks better in post edit. Um, but you know, in one of the things in the One Piece show, all of the hair was really well done. Like these people had anime hair, but it looked natural. I don't know how they did it, but in this show, some of the wigs looked really good, and some of them looked really bad. So I guess if you try to do anime hair, you kind of end up with a mixed bag.
I think they'd be better off just like keeping it real hair and then just like coloring it instead of like trying to get this wig and make it look like it did in the show because it doesn't work.
Yeah,
I don't know. Doesn't look great. I mean, the acting might be good. The story that they're retelling might be okay, but they don't look good.
Turtle, we gonna get you back in the host chair for a Banter Blitz for Yu Yu Hakusho?
We could do that. In fact, why don't we just cover the whole show?
It'll cover the
Well,
next 3 years of the podcast.
hey, I mean, if listeners, let us know if you want us to cover Yu Yu Hakusho in some way. I mean, maybe we'll tackle that different because it's like 4 seasons. It's I don't know how many episodes are there.
Isn't it like 200 and some episodes or something?
Is it that much? It could be.
I thought it was
It
at
could
least
be.
100. So, I mean,
I
back
mean,
then the seasons were much longer.
yeah, the seasons were like at least for this show, it's the
Uh,
the story arc that it's telling. It's
112
not
episodes.
112. That's not awful. It's not Dragon Ball Z. But yeah, I mean it's would definitely be the longest thing that we've covered here, but yeah, maybe we can address it in a different way. But if you want us to watch it and talk about it cuz I think you both should see it cuz it's incredible. But yeah, if you want us to cover it, let us know, please, cuz I would love to. It's great.
Shall we get into something much better than that trailer in Scott Pilgrim Takes Off?
Yeah, let's do that.
something better than Yu Yu Hakusho, you say?
Live action, live action,
Live action Yu Yu Hakusho.
Oh, just the live action. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
live action.
I would say I'm starting. I'm starting. I'm gonna start a war in the comments section on YouTube or on social media.
I mean, going from watching this show, if I'm comparing it to the actual anime of Yu Yu Hakusho, I'm picking Yu Yu Hakusho over this any day. But the live action trailer versus this, I'm picking Scott Pilgrim.
We're just gonna start making Turtle watch the worst shit ever, so he just rants the entire time.
I lived through Vending Machine. I mean, what more do you want?
Oh, I'm sure Sean can find something.
I was about to say how bad could it be, and I stopped myself because I know it gets worse.
Oh, I got the good stuff. Well, hold up though. I mean, Mike, you found this one. The we talked about how heavy are the dumbbells you lift,
I did.
and I said, would it surprise you that I've already watched the show of my own volition? And I actually think I actually like vending machine more
Oh wow,
than
okay.
how heavy are the dumbbells you lift. Yeah, I think if I was a big gym guy and I did like a lot of lifting, surprise surprise, the anime nerd doesn't do a bunch of lifting, right? But yeah, if I did, I think I would have enjoyed the show more because I could like relate more to the characters and like the lifts they're doing. But I just couldn't. But yeah, Scott Pilgrim is uh, a better show than both of those. So yeah, let's hit it.
Today, we are talking about episodes 5 and 6 of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Episode 5 Lights, Camera, Sparks? I start laughing as soon as this episode began, and they're like, this is a documentary for a behind the scenes look at how Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Life, the movie, fell apart and making a movie turn into a nightmare. And the first thing I thought about was The Room and then the Disaster Artist movie. Like, where the book and the movie where it like looks at the behind the scenes of the making of The Room. And I know neither of you have seen The Room, which is a tragedy.
I've seen pieces, but not the entire thing. I did not see The Disaster Artist, although the trailers made it look very funny.
Disaster Artist is fantastic. It's actually, the book is written by the co-star of the movie, and it's all about
Okay.
like, it's like him retelling like what went into the shooting and everything.
Oh boy.
And then they made a movie based off the book.
I still haven't seen The Room, believe it or not.
You two are missing out.
I watched How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift, but I never watched The Room.
Sean, we need to change that.
I've not seen either The Room or How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift, so I don't know if I'm missing out or not.
This entire episode, we get a very like an office look at all the characters. They all do like their behind the scenes interviews of like what's going on throughout the day and their thoughts and everything. And we learned that Envy and Todd have never acted before, but they are both very famous. So it's like the same thing. And that they're rock stars, so they can do whatever the hell they want.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with him.
And the song we see Envy playing at her concert is the song we get in the movie whenever they come to Toronto to play a show.
Okay, that's cool.
Now I've heard that in the movie, Brie Larson actually sang that version. It's a cover of a song by another band. I cannot remember the name of that band, but apparently the original version was out there, and then she covered it. And I've heard that like her version almost sounds better. But here she did the thing where she held up the microphone for the crowd to sing it,
Yeah.
which she held out there a little too long. We want to hear the artist sing. We don't want to sing half the song. But I heard that's why Hoobastank was really bad because dude couldn't even hit half his notes apparently. So like he would like the parts where he couldn't hit the notes, he just hold the microphone out, and they're like, "Hey, he's done this like 20 times today. That's a little too much. You do this for like a couple key songs, but not every other song."
It's
Well,
like,
I mean,
here's this deep cut. Sing along if you know it.
to be fair, their name is Hoobastank, so they pretty much told you that they stank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They told you up front.
To be fair, I really like two of at least one of their songs, but it's whatever. I was raised in that era. Also, I want to throw this out there about the documentary. They started filming the documentary about the collapse of the show before the collapse of the movie, before the movie collapsed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, this is a documentary about the collapse of the movie, but like they were interviewing people during the movie about the collapse of the movie before it was done filming. You know what I mean? Like,
they're like, why is this movie gonna fail? It's like, what do you mean? We're still recording. Why do you think it's going to fail?
So like, I just thought it was really funny. I'm like, guys, it hasn't failed yet.
We get a Mega Man 2 title card for the episode, which I was freaking out about.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I actually caught this one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
They then start interviewing Edgar Wrong, the director of the movie, and he calls the film a tribute to Toronto, and in his opinion, he even considers Toronto a character in the movie, which I got to laugh out because that's pretty much what Edgar Wright said about the actual Scott Pilgrim movie. Like, oh, I want to make it a tribute to Toronto. Toronto's a character in the movie. And then they tell young Neil this, and he's like, oh, well, who did Edgar cast as Toronto?
They make young Neil like really stupid in this show.
Yeah, he's super dumb.
I'm just glad we're getting some more of young Neil in this show because we didn't get a ton of young Neil in the movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. He kind of just wasn't there much. Just sat around playing his Nintendo DS.
I mean, there are worse things.
Yeah, I would have been that guy for sure.
It's like, oh, you guys are gonna play. You're gonna practice your band music. I'm gonna play my Game Boy. Oh, you guys are done. Yeah, that was good. I guess we learned that Ramona is the stunt double for the Ramona role, and the people filming the documentary are super confused that Ramona's name is Ramona Flowers, and the role in the movie is Ramona Flowers.
That was really funny. Again, like this show is getting a little too meta.
Absolutely.
I'm loving the inside baseball in this in this episode.
It's pretty good.
Then we get another great young Neil bit where he's watching the footage as they're filming, and he's like, "Yeah, the lighting is dark for this scene to show the darkness in Scott." And they're like, "Young Neil, you have sunglasses on." He's like, "Yeah," they're like, "You have glasses on." He's like, "Yeah, new prescription." They're like, "No, it's sunglasses." He's like, "Whoa!" No wonder everything was so dark.
I have a hard time believing that a person could be that dumb, but then we got young Neil here, so I don't know.
Works for TV.
They're playing the role perfectly.
Yeah, yeah, he's really dumb. It's like we want you to play this character who's really dumb. Okay, how dumb do you want me to be? Like really, really dumb. Got it.
They're trying to film a scene for the movie where they're walking into the venue to play the show, and the director keeps saying, "Okay, Todd, put your arm around Envy for this scene. Do this for this scene." And every time Todd touches Envy, they start making out. And we keep seeing them say, "Okay, scene 43, take 1, take 2, take 3, take 10." They get to take 43 before Wallace is like, "Hey, I had this great idea." And he whispers into Edgar Wrong's ear his idea, and Edgar's like, "I love it. Let's do it." So on take 44, they walk in, and Edgar yells, "Okay, Todd, put your arm around Wallace." And he does that, and they look into each other's eyes, and they start making out. And everyone is shocked that there are sparks between the two of them. Even Todd is shocked at the sparks.
Yeah, I thought this was an interesting development.
Again, I don't remember the movie. I'm watching this, and I'm thinking because last time, Mike, you were so amped for the vegan police, and I'm watching this episode, and I'm watching them, into this scene and beyond, and I'm like, we're not going to get the vegan police, are we? I feel like this is going in a totally other direction.
Oh, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. So they keep making out, and you could tell that Todd is starting to develop some feelings for Wallace. And they're working on scenes. And Wallace is like, "Hey, we should go run lines in your trailer." And every time they do, we see the trailer isn't rocking, so don't come and knocking.
Yeah, they weren't doing lines. They were doing other stuff.
Yeah, I do want to throw this out there. At first I was like, oh, are they just like making all these characters gay and bi, like out of nowhere? But then I'm like, well, some of the characters like they don't specifically definitively say what orientation they are in the movie. And if there was like one evil ex who I could definitely see being gay, well, first it was Matthew Patel, but second it was probably I could totally see Vegan Todd being being bi. You know, could see it. I don't know. I just think it's interesting. They definitely threw out a lot of the you know uh I guess they were like three gay characters in the original, and now they're throwing a lot more out. So I have no strong feelings one way or the other. I'm just along for the ride, and it was pretty funny.
We then get some backstory on the dating of Todd and Ramona. And they dated in high school. And Todd kept insisting, "Oh, the love of my life is back in Toronto." But his mindset was, "Gotta live in the moment." So that led to a lot of sloppy makeout sessions behind the bleachers. And then we learned that Todd used his vegan powers to punch a hole through the moon, which he does in both the movie and the books. And Envy's like, it was the most romantic thing ever. And Ramona's like, it was the gross, like, she's like, I hated it. It was just funny seeing, like, the two different reactions. Like, Ramona's like, ugh, it was the worst. And Envy's like, oh, it was so great. It was so romantic.
I don't know if that's a good pickup line to use. I'd punch the moon for you.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I mean, punching the moon just feels like it would cause a lot of issues with the tides here on Earth.
Right? You like to swim? I'll blow up the moon for you.
You want me to flood the entire coast? Okay, let me do that.
I'm on it.
yeah. I was thinking about how Ramona was. I like the split screen, like the it was terrifying versus like it was, it was awesome type of thing. Uh, really cracked me up. But I don't know. I like the flipping between Ramona and Envy stuff and their view on Todd and how they view him very differently. But they've been taking a lot of liberties in this show with about like, oh yeah, by the way, all these people who live in New York also happened to have spent a large amount of time in Toronto in their past. And these people from Toronto also spent much time in New York. And I'm like, you guys are kind of like forcing these backstories that weren't there before, unless they were in the book. I haven't read the book, so I don't know
No,
how close to it they are, but I feel like they're forcing a lot here.
at least with Envy, it was like Scott and Envy dated before Envy hit it big with the Clash at Demon Head. And then when she hit it big, that's when she dumped Scott and started dating Todd. So
And
like,
that makes sense in the timeline. But she made it seem like they've been dating beforehand, right?
yeah. Yeah, like she's like, "Oh yeah, we've been dating since we were like 14, 13 or 14." I thought they made some interesting changes with the whole Envy, Todd, Scott, and Ramona like love square. Todd then begins to gush about Wallace during their sit-down interview with the documentary crew, and he tells Envy, "I can't be with you anymore. I'm in love with Wallace." And then he lifts his shirt up and he shows this giant ass tattoo of Wallace and a heart on his stomach. He's just like, I love Wallace Wells. And Envy gets all pissed off and storms off. And as she storms off, the documentary crew are like, Todd, what about vegans never wavering? And Todd's like, I never said that. I never said that. I said vegans never wafer. They never eat wafers. And then we get a couple like shots of him saying vegans never waver. Vegans never waver.
It's like they slowed it down. They zoom in on his lips as he's saying vegans never waver. I love that this whole scene, this whole like breakup thing happens in front of the camera crew filming the documentary. He just like Todd has a total meltdown here. And it's hilarious. He's like, I just can't be with you anymore. And the camera crews are probably looking at each other like, oh, okay, let's keep filming. Really funny.
Envy gets all pissed off and storms over to Wallace and saying, "What the fuck? Like, you broke my boyfriend." And like, dude, like Wallace is like, "Fine, I'll do something about it." So Todd comes in, and Wallace tells Todd, "I don't love you. This is just like a movie fling, and once the movie's done filming, that's showbiz. We're off on our own." And Todd's like, "Well, what about the sparks? There were sparks." And Wallace is like, "What sparks?" Which is just like a dagger to Todd.
I feel bad for Todd here. He's crushed, man.
Todd then disappears through a vegan portal, and now Envy wants to fight Wallace even more because she broke her boyfriend even more. And Wallace is like, "All right, well, if you want to fight, you have to fight my stunt doubles." Which I got a real laugh out of because it's like, all right, well, at least you brought that back from the movie of Scott fighting Lucas Lee's stunt doubles.
Yeah, imagining like Wallace is a pure comedy character, so having him fight doesn't make any sense. So like, I'm glad they brought the stunt doubles in, and how the original Wallace from the movie is now stunt double.
I did love that. They're like, Ramona's like, wait, you're a stunt double now? He's like, you did this to me. After Wallace sends in his stunt doubles to fight, Envy calls upon Ramona for stunts because she's like, I'm not fighting. So we get an Wallace Wells versus Envy Adams fight, but it's just they're stunt doubles fighting each other. And as Ramona is beating the crap out of all of Wallace's stunt doubles, he just is verbally abusing all of his stunt doubles to the point where they begin to cry and storm off. They're like, we're used to being physically abused, but you're verbally abusing us, and that's wrong.
All abuse is wrong. There, I said it.
Truth. Truth. Eventually they stop fighting because Envy's like, I'm not fighting Wallace. Envy's like, they go and knock on Todd's trailer, and he opens the door, and he is eating what looks to be mashed potatoes, French fries, maybe some fried chicken and gravy out of a big ass bucket. And I was so disappointed that it wasn't chicken parm.
Now, I would like to interject here and say that I believe what he was eating was a big bucket of poutine. Because instead of mashed potatoes, I believe those were cheese curds.
Okay.
And poutine is fries with cheese curds melted on top and gravy on top. And you can add meat if you want. But poutine originated in Toronto. So that is the reason I believe this is poutine. Because they're in Toronto.
That makes more sense. It was hard to tell with how the animation was done on that bucket.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
that
was thinking
definitely
it was
makes
just like I was thinking it was just like like chili on top of French fries or something. I wasn't sure what he was eating, so that makes sense.
yeah. I
that
believe
definitely
it's
makes more
poutine.
sense though.
Poutine. It's really good, honestly. I don't know if you've ever had poutine,
Poutine
but
is
man, is it good.
fucking incredible.
Yeah.
I've
I've
never
never had
had
it.
it in Canada, but whenever my wife and I will go to Disney, we'll get it at Epcot, and it's always amazing.
I
I
will have
have
to
gotten
try
it
it
in
sometime.
Toronto. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
man,
it has
up in Toronto, man. Stormcrow Manor. Uh they have like a huge nerd themed like restaurant, and there's like a D&D room, a nautical room. There's Warhammer 40K references in the basement that I saw. There's they just have all these nerdy, like a sci-fi room. They have all these nerdy themed things, and yeah, I got poutine up there, and boy was it good, man. I need to go back to Stormcrow because I just love it up there. It's just if you like nerdy stuff, gotta hit it in Toronto.
and I mean, poutine has all the most delicious things all together. French fries, amazing. Cheese curds, amazing. Gravy, amazing.
Mm,
Throw some meat on there, amazing.
mm. I'm hungry.
I was gonna say I'm making myself hungry for some poutine.
Yeah, my dinner was ramen tonight because I needed something quick, and now yeah, I want poutine.
Ramona shows Envy and Todd the tape of Scott being kidnapped. And before we even get in too far into it, we learn that the filming has only been taking place for 3 days. And Ramona's like, wait, this has only been 3 days? She's like, it feels like it's been so much longer. Envy then looks at the tape and she's like, that's not Todd's vegan portal. There's way too much thought that went into it.
And you can tell what the vegan portal looks like.
I also got a good laugh out of when Todd went to the bathroom. In the upper right hand corner, the pee meter drained from full to empty, just like in the movie.
Yeah, the P meter was good. A nice touch.
Envy tells Ramona she's fired, and at the same time, Ramona's like, I quit. And she begins to walk away from the studio when Matthew Patel shows up in in a helicopter, and he begins firing everyone. He's like, you're fired. You're the director, you're fired. You're filming that documentary, you're fired. Which then pauses the tape whenever they get fired.
Very, very funny.
I thought that was a good gag.
And just a quick mention, he drops in the helicopter to ZZ Top's "Sharp Dressed Man." Awesome.
I missed that.
That was a fantastic music choice.
I love ZZ Top, dude. That was so great.
Matthew then tells Ramona that this film is a character assassination on him and that he punched Scott to death, which gave him the confidence to challenge Gideon and take over his empire and made him the man who he is now. And Ramona's like, yeah, Scott's not dead. He was kidnapped. And Matthew's like, what? Wait, what? What? Like, Matthew starts like freaking out. Like, uh-oh. It starts shaking his confidence.
I loved this scene, by the way. It was really funny. She's like, "Well, yeah, actually, he's not dead. He was kidnapped." And he's like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, I just don't know where he is. Is he mad at me?"
Yeah, is he mad at me?
That's such a great joke. It's just slipped right in there. Is he mad at me? So great.
That was really great. Matthew then tells Ramona that Gideon's real name is Gordon Goose and that he's at Julie Power's house. So Ramona adds them both to the suspect list, and the episode ends with Julie and Gideon staring in my opinion, menacingly at a TV screen.
It was kind of menacing, wasn't it? And what parent names their kid Gordon Goose? Can we talk about that for a quick sec?
Sounds like a comic book character like Peter Parker.
Yeah, like who does that? Parents, don't do that to your kids.
Victor Von Doom.
Well, I mean, Doom's pretty great, but you know.
Yeah, Doom's good actually, yeah.
Before we get into Mike's Beer of the Week, one cool thing I wanted to point out was with when the credits started rolling, I saw special guest Al Yankovic. I'm like, wait, what? Weird Al was in this episode? And I did some digging, and he actually plays the narrator for the documentary.
Oh, no kidding.
So I thought that was
Weird Al.
I skipped the ending credits. I just did not have time to research. I know they changed the song. I don't know what it is. I didn't have time to look it up. I'm sorry, everybody. I failed.
It's surprisingly not a Weird Al song. I'm like, I figured they would do a Weird Al song with him being in the episode.
Yeah, right? If you're going to have him guest, put one of his songs in there.
But yeah, just I saw his name in the credits. I'm like, wait, Weird Al was here? Like in some capacity? And then I did some Googling and saw that he played the narrator for the documentary crew.
Shout out to Weird Al. You're awesome.
Also, one other thing I loved in this episode was whenever we got the Envy Adams versus Wallace Wells fight screen and they yell fight. I love how Edgar Wrong's like, who said that? And
I forgot about that.
I was laughing my ass off at that.
The narrator's like, nothing, nobody.
Don't worry about it. No one's here.
It's so good.
And now it is time for Mike's Beer of the Week. This week's beer comes to you from Iron Hill Brewing, and it is their Blueberry Yum Yum, a 6.3% sour. This sour uses blueberry, graham cracker pie crust, vanilla beans, and lactose, aka it's liquid blueberry cobbler. I had this beer as a part of a flight at the brewery, and I wish I had more time at the brewery so I could get a full pint of this beer. It was incredible. Like, it warmed up. Like, this was the last beer I had on the flight, so it had a nice amount of time to warm up. And, oh, man, did the flavor just pop. Like, I got the blueberry. I got the graham cracker. I got the vanilla. Like, everything just was working. And, like, it just lit my taste buds up, and I was loving it. I'm like, I want more time because I want like a full pour of this. I actually had this while I was in Philadelphia for PAX Unplugged a couple weeks ago. And the brewery is right across the street from the convention center. So I just needed some fresh air from the convention. So I'm like, I'll go to the brewery. And the beers were fantastic. The food was fantastic. As a Pittsburgh person, that it hurts to have to say something from Philadelphia was good, but I'll give it to Iron Hill Brewing. They had really good food. Probably one of the best Reubens I've ever had. They had a bacon sauerkraut on their Reuben, and they loaded it up with cheese, so chef's kiss to that. And the beer was also fantastic. The Untapped average rating is a 3.66, and I give it a 4.0. Episode 6. Who did it? The episode begins with Gideon watching anime, and Lucas calls him, and I love how Gideon answers the phone, "Go for Goose." And Lucas is like, "What?" And Gideon's like, "Yeah, my real name is Gordon Goose." He's like, "Oh." And Lucas is like, "Oh, that's cool. My real name is Luke." Which I just started dying at.
So
And
dumb.
Gideon's like, "That's not even remotely the same thing, but okay."
I want to shout out a couple things here before we get too far. Number one, my brother's name is Luke and has been called Lucas by people on numerous occasions. They're like, "Oh yeah, Luke's short for Lucas," and he's like, "No, like Luke is not like." Like there are way more instances of Luke's than Lucas's in many things. You hear of Luke Skywalker. It's not short for Lucas Skywalker. It's Luke Skywalker. At the same time, if you were raised in a Christian family, one of the Gospels of the Bible is Luke, which is not short for Lucas. It's just Luke. So like, Luke is just a normal name. So I appreciate him changing his name from Lucas to Luke. Sorry, all you Lucases out there. Part two. I would watch the heck out of the anime that Gideon was watching. That is
You-
that was like made for me. I was dying because it's the ultimate stereotype. Everything's so stereotypical. Bumping into the fated meeting at the cherry blossoms, her hating him and going all tsundere,
yeah.
and then then later he watches the end of the series and he's like, they like, well, I guess we'll get together. I'm sorry, we'll get there, but they get together and they kiss. And he's like, yeah, that was 12 seasons in. And I was like, accurate, 100% accurate.
I
Yeah, that was
I
really
definitely
funny.
I was definitely thinking of you, Sean, whenever Gideon was watching this anime.
Oh yeah, I would 100% watch the heck out of that. Now that I think about it, I need to. I've been meaning to watch Skip and Loafer. So that's another one of the. It just reminded me of all the anime romance I've been missing out on because I've been watching anime for this podcast. I got to catch up.
Oh, there you go.
We're
Yeah, we haven't
slowing you
been watching
down.
enough. Yeah, haven't been watching enough myself. That's all right. I got to do it on my own time. This is good because I never would have watched a couple of the shows that we watched if we didn't do this.
It's a give and take. It's good. We're all spreading our horizons a little bit with the animes we watch with this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Lucas asked Gideon for forgiveness, and Gideon like menacingly says, "I have something else in mind." And he's like, "And that's friendship." We then get a friendship montage between the two where they're playing video games, they're playing board games, they're playing paintball in Jolie's house. They built a skate ramp in the house. It's like, oh, Jolie's gonna be pissed when she gets home.
I absolutely loved this montage. It's been my favorite part of the show. Just these two dudes broing out, hanging out, having a great time, building a friendship. Super awesome. I loved this to death. It was very fun, very funny. Doing outside activities in somebody else's house. Literally just like trashing the whole place. It was great.
And I love a good montage.
Oh, yeah.
Every show needs a montage.
And by the way, it would be really easy to miss them just trashing the house. Like, you almost forget it's Julie's house for a second. Because I got like a good halfway into the montage to be like, wait a minute, they're trashing this place. I said, oh yeah, how much you want to bet she's only been gone for a couple hours? And of course she comes back and it's only been 90 minutes.
I love how she got home and she's so pissed off. She's like, I've only been gone for 90 minutes. Because, like, the
They built a
montage
whole
made it.
skate ramp.
They ran out to the hardware store, bought all the equipment they needed to build a skate ramp. In my mind, when they went to the hardware store, I'm like, oh, they're making bunk beds. This is totally a Step Brothers thing.
Dude, I was even thinking something totally different. Right before that, they were like baking the cake and like burning down the oven. So I see them go to the store. I'm like, oh, they're going to buy her like a new oven and replace it. No, they bought parts to make a skate ramp and wreck the place even more. It was so funny.
I just when Joey's like, I've only been gone 90 minutes, I lost it. Because the montage made it seem like it was like all day.
Yeah.
Or multiple days. Because
So
at this
good.
point, we don't know where Jolie is. We learn in this next scene while Ramona's dyeing her hair once again. A scene we didn't get in episode 5, by the way.
That's true.
And then we get a title card. And it was Pac-Man. And did you know Pac-Man was originally called Puck-Man? But they changed it. Not because he looked like a hockey puck, but they thought people would scratch out the P and replace it with an F.
No way! I had no idea. I've never heard that before.
I had to throw in the movie quote for this title card.
I was going to say, get it? It's a movie reference. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
We learned that earlier in that morning, Ramona rolls up to Julie's house to talk to her. And, like, Ramona's like, what the hell? You're hanging out with Gideon? Like, that Gideon? And Julie's like, I guess this info dump was inevitable. So, like, when she said that, I thought we were getting another montage. Like, I figured, okay, we're going to get a Jolie montage of everything that happened.
Sorry, we
But
just got a flashback.
yeah, sad. I loved this next scene. Absolutely loved it. Where it's Steven and Knives working on a song, and Steven sings, "Bread makes you think," which Knives comes back with, "Does it?" And like they're trying to find the right word for the lyric. Like they work through a couple things like bread makes you fall and bread does this and that and that. And then Knives just sort of stumbles on bread makes you fat. And then they're both shocked by that, like how well it works. And I lost it because one of my favorite lines from the movie is Scott makes garlic bread. And he's like, I love garlic bread. I could eat it all day. And Ramon's like, bread makes you fat. And Scott's like, bread makes you fat?
I love all the throwbacks to the movie.
I love that quote. Like, so the fact that they put that in here as a reference, I got a good kick out of.
I do like me some bread.
Bread makes you fat?
That explains a lot, actually.
We learned that Knives was able to trick Matthew into signing them on to create a Scott Pilgrim musical by playing, like, she did like a deep dive on Matthew Patel and found out that he did a one-man show and he was a big music theater buff and everything. So Knives manipulates Matthew into creating this musical. And me personally, I would totally see a Scott Pilgrim musical on Broadway.
I'll pass, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, we get. I feel like we get so many unnecessary musicals on Broadway. Like the Spider-Man one apparently is the most expensive musical of all time to make, and that one was cursed. Like they went through like 2 or 3 starting actors, I think, because they kept having issues with like the swinging, and people would get hurt on the set.
Yeah. But hey, if it wasn't for the Beetlejuice musical, we would never have seen some heavy petting of a congresswoman.
Oh, that's true. That was pretty wild. However, I actually don't. The vaping I shame. The theater petting. Well, I just I'm I think hey, he didn't whip it out. You know what I mean? It's fine. Yeah, Tor, we're gonna have you go and edit that out. I'm kidding.
just cut this.
Yeah.
Leave none of this in. In fact, let's just start over.
Yeah. We're an hour into recording. Let's start over, guys, from the beginning. What do you think?
Oh, something went wrong with the audio tracks. Got to start over. Oops.
Time for that mulligan.
But yeah, please continue, Mike.
Steven and I's like, young Neil, are you okay with us like creating a musical with your movie failing? He's like, oh yeah, that's fine. I don't care. And Steven's like, wait, you don't care? Shouldn't you, as a creative person, care? I see every song that I create as a baby. And young Neil's like, whatever. Like, I didn't even write the script for the movie. And they're all like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, I saw my sleep paralysis demon. And Kim, Knives, and Steven all are like, young Neil, someone actually wrote the script, not your sleep paralysis demon. And young Neil's like, oh.
God, he's dumb.
Yep.
I kind of think they're taking the young Neil stupidity a little too far by this point. Like in short bursts, it's can be funny, but like this is kind of overkill.
Every word out of his mouth is just like pure stupidity.
Yeah.
Ramona and Julie go to Julie's coffee shop. And Ramona's like, all right, give me what's the deal on Gordon Goose? Like, you owe me this explanation. And we learned that Gordon was the weirdest kid in Jolie's year of high school. And he always wore no fear shirts. He had braces. And people would call him fearless because of his no fear shirts. And they would call him that mockingly. And he took that to his head. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm fearless. I don't have fear. And he made a 12-point presentation on why the most popular girl in school should date him, which obviously did not go very well. And after he was rejected is when he moved to New York City and became Gideon Graves. And Julie's then like, yeah, after Matthew Patel took his empire, he came back and like he was still like looking for revenge, and like she's like he was hot. And like Jolie started talking about how things are going so well between the two of them, and Ramona's like, "Oh, it sounds like you're happy." And she's like, and Jolie's all pissed. She's like, "Yeah, and now it bleeping sucks. I don't want to be happy. All the evil was drained from Gordon, and now he's just a loser that watches anime on my couch."
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of the guys I know who would love a a girlfriend where they could just watch anime on the couch and she brings home the bacon, you know.
Me. Ladies, if you bring home all the bacon and you don't mind watching anime, uh, look me up.
And by the bacon, Turtle means bacon, not cash, right, Turtle?
Well, no, I need cash to pay bills.
Yeah, he actually needs the cash. Yeah,
You want a package of bacon every night, correct?
No, I want the cash. I got bills to pay, and I'm too lazy to work.
if any sugar moms listen to the podcast, hit us up.
Hit me up
Maybe
specifically.
Just Turtle, yeah.
maybe in 2024 we'll have a new segment, Turtle's dating piece of the week.
Oh no. Oh no.
No, you don't want us to play matchmaker for you?
No, no, thank you. Just looking for that single female lawyer who makes all the money. I'll be stay-at-home dad. I'm fine with that.
Take it from me. Lawyers don't make as much as you think they do fresh out of college, and they work ridiculous hours.
But the Bender from Futurama can't lie, right? Single female lawyer.
They also are usually in a shitload of debt.
That's fair. The amount of
Eh,
schooling to get there. That's fair.
It's not cheap.
Everyone's in a buttload of debt right now. It feels like.
Also
That's a good point.
fair.
That's a good point. Ramona then still Ramona accuses Julian and Gordon of kidnapping Scott, and she's like, I don't believe you. Like, I know Gideon. Like, he did all this shit to me. He's manipulative. He's like, he tracks you. He does X, Y, and Z, and like, you're in on this. And Jolie's like, God, I wish that was true. Like, I wish Gordon wasn't a loser, and I wish he was kidnapping Scott just to spice things up a bit. And Julie is able to convince Ramona to scratch them off the list of suspects. As they're leaving the coffee shop, we see Stacy on the phone talking to Wallace, and we learn that she was eavesdropping on the entire thing and giving Wallace all the scoop of the gossip. And Julie gets all mad at Stacy, and Stacy's like, "You shouldn't be here on your day off."
Yo, I love that because I feel like we've barely gotten any of Scott's sister.
That was sort of
In
the
this,
same with the movie, though.
Yeah, it's true. She was actually. You're right. After Matthew Patel, does she make a single appearance?
Maybe once or twice. Not very much, though.
Yeah, if anything, it's just to do the. Well, I guess her and Wallace do the information gag.
Yeah. So Jolie gets home. We're now back to where the episode began. And she's all pissed off at what they did to her house. And we get a Julie Powers versus Lucas Lee and Gordon Goose fight card. And I love how in the fight card, Lucas and Gordon look terrified as they hold each other. It's like, I can understand Gordon being terrified, but it's like, Lucas Lee just like is this big like dude who just like had all this movie career and everything, and like it's like, oh no, buddy, help me.
Yeah, they just. Well, who knows? I mean, we don't know the extent of Julie's powers.
That's true.
Julie Powers' powers.
Ramona puts a stop to the fight before it can even start, and she's like, "This is dumb. Let's be adults." And we learn that Lucas is flat. Like Ramona's like, "Lucas, you can't live here. Go find a job." And Lucas is like, "I'm flat broke. I can't even fly first class home. And the only work I can get is voice work for an animated series," which I was losing it at.
I also thought that was really, really funny. They're too meta.
Too meta.
Or not meta enough.
Or not meta
Whoa.
enough. We could double down.
Ramona goes to leave, and she looks to Gordon and says, "Hey, treat Jolie better than you treated me." And like Gordon just sort of like it's like, oh yeah, I guess I did treat you pretty shitty. We then see a robot hop out of the window, and Ramona's going to leave, and Lucas is like, hey, I know that robot. We just saw that robot a bunch of times. And we then get the Metal Gear Solid explanation points above Ramona with the sound effect when she realizes who created the robot.
That was pretty good. I like that.
After Ramona leaves, Gordon asks Jolie if she thinks he's a loser. And she's like, yeah, a little bit. And he's like, well, all this time I was playing a loser. I was actually planning revenge against Matthew Patel. And Jolie's just like, oh, thank God. Like, she just sort of has that relief that Gordon isn't just like nothing again.
I feel like he just said that. I feel like he does not actually have a grand master plan to do anything.
I'm sure we'll see whatever it is soon.
I do like how he was. It's like, yeah, I have this grand plan. She's like, that's great. Now go clean my house.
That was great. It's like, cool. Implement it tomorrow after you're done cleaning the house.
That was good.
Ramona arrives back to her house, and the Sex Bomb crew are waiting for her, and they offer to help her with the Scott case. And Ramona's like, I already know, like, I already cracked the case. It's all good. And they're like, wait, what? And Ramona's like, yeah, I have 7 evil exes. I rolled out 5 of them. That leaves only the Katayanagi twins. And we learned that their romance played out like the anime that Gordon was watching at the beginning of the episode. And that Ramona was dating them both at the same time and playing off of each other, the two of them. And we learned that the vegan portal that kidnapped Scott was created by a vegan robot that was created by the twins. And I laugh at the idea of a vegan robot.
Yeah, I mean, robots don't eat, so all robots would be vegan.
Yeah, the logic is suspect, but I'm gonna roll with it.
The Sex Bomb crew then tells Ramona that young Neil didn't write the movie, and they actually looked at when the script was written, and it was written 14 years in the future. The episode ends with a ringing of Ramona's doorbell, and Ramona goes to open the door. And when this is happening, I'm like, okay, it's going to be either Jolie or Gordon, or maybe even the Katayanagi twins. And when she opens the door, it's Scott, and everyone is shocked at his appearance. And Ramona's like, oh, I like, what happened? Like, I saw, like, you were kidnapped, and, like, I saw the vegan portal and the vegan robot and this and this and this. And Scott's like, yeah, behind the twins, behind the vegan robot, behind the vegan portal was someone else. It was me, Austin. It was me, Austin. It was me all along. And it was Scott behind his own kidnapping.
I wasn't like super surprised by that. I was curious if there was going to be something along those lines. I don't know. I'm willing to keep an open mind and see where it goes.
I thought it could have been Nega Scott,
I
but
Negascope was the first thing out of my mouth too. Actually,
I also am like, we don't like. I didn't think Nega Scott would come into it just because at this point it's not like they broke up. So I'm like, oh well, maybe we just won't get a Nega Scott reference, or maybe it'll happen in episode 7 or 8.
I kind of hated this ending because I didn't know any of that stuff, and it just stopped. And I wanted to get some answers, so I was upset I didn't get the answers.
Yeah, in the movie we get Nega Scott as an evil ex.
Okay, well maybe we'll see that coming up here. But yeah, it just like yeah, it was me. I did it, and then the credits rolled. I'm like, oh come on, what a bad spot to put the ending.
You got to put that cliffhanger in. Make you wait another week to watch the last 2 episodes.
I wasn't ready to stop. I wanted more information. So
well, when we're done recording, you can go watch another one if you want.
yeah.
What did the 2 of you think of these episodes?
They were like pretty good. I guess I think they're kind of like in line with all the other episodes we've seen so far. I'm very interested to see where this wraps up, because if I don't like the ending, then I'm gonna kind of have a negative view of the series, because everything they're doing is leading up to this surprise ending. So if it doesn't land on its feet, I'm not going to enjoy the series as much. But they had some really good moments, and I preferred the second episode today over the first one by a large margin.
I would agree with that. I also enjoyed the second episode. What, 6? Yeah, episode 6 more than 5. Both of these episodes I thought had some pretty good humor. So I was down for that. They're pretty good.
I wasn't sure how I felt about these episodes. When I first watched them, I'm like, okay, they were good, but they weren't as, in my opinion, they weren't as good as the first 4 episodes of this show. But as we talked about these 2 episodes more and more, I'm like, you know what? I sort of like these episodes. Like, all the references they snuck in was really great, in my opinion. I mean, I don't think, in my opinion, I will have a episode I don't like in this show. I loved all the references they squeezed in. I loved the inside baseball of the movie documentary episode. I'm intrigued to see where the Scott twist goes. No, I didn't watch any of the episode 7 yet, but I did see the title for episode 7, and I just loved it because I believe it's Two Scott, Two Pilgrim or something of that nature, or
Yes, I
two,
did see that.
which I got a good laugh out of. But yeah, at first watch, they weren't my favorite. I thought they were still good. And then just realizing how many references they've squeezed in there made me enjoy these episodes even more. And now it is time for the Evil X of the Week. Turtle, who's your Evil X and why?
Evil X of the week for me is going to be Lucas Lee. I don't think I've picked him yet, but I'm going with him this week. The whole bro montage was just great. It was a lot of fun. It was nice to see, Lucas or Luke just hanging out, not doing anything evil. You're just hanging out, man. Sometimes you need that. We're just gonna hang out. So I'm picking Lucas Lee.
Sean, who's your Evil X and why?
I also picked Lucas Lee, actually, which is funny because the episode heavily featuring him, I was like, yeah, I guess he's okay. And I loved him in the bro montage, and he was purely here for comedic relief, but he delivered. And that's what I liked about him. You'll pretty much never see me pick Gideon / Gordon Goose, and I guess I didn't really talk about it too much, but I don't like the way they're portraying him here, because in the source content, they talk about how abusive he was, and Ramona mentions it here. She's like, oh, he was very extremely manipulative and emotionally abusive. But I guess that works for you, Julie. I guess it's fine, and I just thought about it, and I'm like, all the Evil Exes, their worst traits, they're kind of not bringing to the show. I wouldn't say they're making them, maybe they're just making them more likable, but Gideon is supposed to be a character you hate. And I'd be like, yeah, let Matthew, based on him during the movie, I'm like, yeah, let Matthew Patel keep it. Why not? I don't care. Screw Gideon, and I hate him, and I'll never pick him. So, yay, Lucas Lee. And also Todd, vegan thing. Like you said, I just don't care about him that much.
I was very tempted to pick the duo of Lucas and Gordon, just because of how great that montage was. But I have to pick the show. I'm gonna call my Evil X of the Week the show runners for not including the vegan police.
You had me all hyped up, and we didn't get it.
They cut us. They took from us the amazing just back and forth between the vegan police and Todd Ingram. And the vegan police are freaking played by Thomas Jane, the Punisher, and Clifton Collins. And they robbed from us an amazing quote, which I will read off now for those that may not remember. Vegan police. Freeze! Vegan police! Vegan police! Vegan police. Todd Ingram, you're under arrest for veganity violation code number 827. Imbibing of half and half. Todd Ingram, that's bull roar! Vegan police. No vegan diet, no vegan powers. Todd Ingram, but this is only my first offense. Don't I get 3 strikes? I mean, vegan police. To vegan policeman number 2. Take it. Vegan policeman whips out a notepad. 12:47 on February 1st. You knowingly ingested gelato. Todd Ingram. Gelato isn't vegan? Vegan police. It's milk and eggs, bitch. Vegan police still reading. On April 4th, 7:30 p.m., you partook of a plate of chicken parmesan. Envy gasp, then glares at Todd. Todd Ingram. Chicken isn't vegan? They robbed us of that moment.
Chicken isn't vegan.
They really did, though. I mean, I was expecting when he was eating the poutine for them to just bust out, but no, they just, that's it.
Maybe they'll bust the vegan robot for breaking vegan code.
We got 2 more episodes. Anything can happen.
Thank you all for joining us this week as we watched Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. We hope you join us next week for episode 38 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will watch episodes 7 and 8 of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. If you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Turtle, do you have anything you would like to plug?
You listeners, you know the drill. Check out my YouTube channel, RPG Treasure Trove. If you have, thank you. If you've not, what are you waiting for?
Sean, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Yeah, on the same vein, if you have not checked out the Demon Files by now, why not? Please check us out. We're still airing the new episodes in the middle of season 2.
The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.